Dmitry, thank you. We're going to roll into part two, the controversial topics that I've tippy-toed around, and what a better person to bring out the controversy. And I really, I know you told me before you interviewed that you don't like people poofing each other up, but I'm just going to do one. I appreciate that you're willing to bring this level playing field to our industry and speak the things that many people have thought or wondered, and given the folks that have been taken advantage of a voice. So thank you for that. In today's video, in part two, I'd love to chat about the controversial question that I know many owners are not going to like me for bringing up: when and why a sales rep should go out on their own. So let's get going. By the way, first, thank you for being back.
No problem. Sales rep start their own business?
Thank you. My wife even told me this morning. She goes, that video topic, make sure you clarify what go out on your own means. So yes, going out on their own meaning starting your own business. I get this a lot, and we're going to go through it step by step. But let's start with the basics. Who should be starting their own business? These are talking salespeople. Been in the industry, they've sold. Why should you go out on your own? Who is that person that should?
I would say if you're an excellent sales rep, I would not recommend you to go on your own if you do have a good company. So I would say if you're making north of 150,000 a year, you have good lifestyle, good work-life balance. Maybe you don't have to door knock as much. Like maybe you almost became like an order taker. And I meet a lot of those guys. You have solid brand. You don't have bad energy with the culture. You just stay there. I promise you, you will probably not find a better place. Even if you go on your own, to make 150K in being owner-operator, your world will be absolutely different. Stress level, work-life balance, everything will be disturbed, and most likely you will even regret it.
Yeah.
So if you have good work-life balance, if you're making 150 a year, if company understands you, and if it's also repeatable. Like if you've done it for 3 years straight, there's no reason to move. Now, I would go on my own if I know my numbers, I'm mature enough to run a business. If you consider yourself a good leader, business is nothing but being a good leader. Just because you're good in sales does not make you a good leader. Just because you can sell does not make you good at numbers. I'll give you an example. If you don't know how much you spend per month on gas or food, it's a red flag for me. You should know. In business, every penny matters. You should know your numbers. Sales guys usually like to spend. We're spenders. They spend, they sell. They spend, they sell. And that makes the worst business owner. Business is tough. You have to stack up your cash. Many people don't like it. If you're a spender, most likely you will be paying people too much as well. You will be paying for stuff that you shouldn't be paying, but you also will not be paying for important stuff because it's not important to you. So for business owners, for sales guys who wants to become a business owner, you need to be business ownership. It's not being a sales rep. People just because, listen, I'll elaborate a little bit more even. Just because you've been 1099 and you think you're a business owner does not make you a business. I think it's the biggest trick in the industry.
Yeah.
Not only between sales guys and owners, but also between subs. So many subs think they run a business when they are 1099. No, you're a glorified employee. As a sales rep, you're a glorified employee.
You're a service provider.
Exactly. So you're not a business owner yet. There's too many things, and if you hate that, if you hate paperwork, if you hate taxes, if you hate doing all the business stuff, then I'm telling you, it's going to destroy you. It's absolutely going to destroy you.
What are the top 3 things that most sales reps that start a business don't realize? That you and I hear from them both. They start the business, and then it's like, what did I get myself into? What are the 3 biggest things that they learned the hard way and didn't realize? The blind spot, I didn't know. What are those top 3 things?
Number 1 is overhead. They don't understand what it really takes to run a business. Because when you're in sales, it's commission, it's check, it's your weekly revenue. when you run a business, you might be bringing 100,000 a month, and you might be losing 20,000 a month.
Seen it time and time again.
Exactly. Overhead, to calculate overhead profitability has nothing to do with the single jobs. Each one of your jobs in your sales guys' jobs might be profitable, but as a business, you still might be losing. So that's number one. Number two, dealing with the people and complaints, unreasonable people on all levels.
Yeah.
I'm talking about employees. I'm talking about crazy homeowners. So now, when you're a sales rep, it's much easier to please. You will probably get one or two crazy customers. You know, for every 100 clients, you might have like 3 bad ones. Now, numbers vary.
I'm only laughing at the amount of time. I spent probably 20% of my time as COO dealing with those 3. And sorry to interrupt you.
But that's the thing. So now you're a firefighter. Imagine your life when your life consists only dealing with fires. Now you don't have a good clients.
Yeah.
Like, because your time will be, in the legal department, people who don't pay your bills, and it's also a different lifestyle now. Like, business owners are firefighters. Like as a sales rep, you used to go picking up checks. As a business owner, now you're chasing people who are not paying you on time or not paying you at all. On top of that, there's insurance companies. On top of them, there's salespeople, just like you used to be, who has disputes with you. On top of that, there's unreasonable workers, crews. I mean, there's so many issues. Dealing with people is hard. And that's what salespeople don't understand, how many people business owners actually touching in this business. I mean, you're talking about accountants, legal, you're talking about government, OSHA. I mean, there's circle after circle after circle. I mean, when OSHA adjuster or CD adjuster calls you, listen, they're not going to talk to your manager. They always want to talk to the owner. There's only so many gatekeepers you can put on, but sooner or later they'll get to you and they'll get to start affecting you.
Let's talk cash flow then. Most folks don't realize how much cash is going to go out before you start collecting.
Sure.
So how does that work for someone who doesn't really quite know? Because what happens, again, just to frame this question, this is the big appeal. A rep sees a profit sharing commission, and they believe that company's making all this money. The owner, they think that that's like the owner's commission. That's not going in his or her pocket. It is unrealistic to think all of that money, even if overhead's taken out, is going in that pocket. So what does that look like cash flow for a company, a young company getting started?
I mean, I'll put it this way. If you're doing $1 million a year, that's one-man company. If you have 3 people working for $1 million operation, I'm telling you right now, the business is check-to-check basis, like at best, if they're not losing money. Now, if you're charging $275 a square, you're losing money. If you're charging $450 a square and you're doing $1 million a year, you're breaking even. So when people tell me they run a $5 million company and they have 25 employees, I'm like, what? I mean, think about all the audits. You have to put cash in a reserve. So when you're the business owner, you have to pay yourself as little as possible. Like, I'm talking about bare minimum wage. Like, my first year in business, we did $950,000, paid myself $60,000. And I could have paid myself $140,000, but I reinvested in business about $50,000. So you have to be very, very smart what you do with extra cash that you think you have. But also, the biggest thing with the cash flow is never ever look at a bank account. It's not how much actually laying in your bank. You have to have QuickBooks, and you have to have receivables and payables, and they have to be reconciled on a daily basis. I remember days when we would have $250,000 in the bank, but I would call my accountant and say, what's our QuickBooks balances? And she's like, Dmitry, you're negative $20,000. I'm like, how does it make sense? Because you need to understand, just because you sold 100 jobs and you have all those down payments, think about what will happen if everybody canceled their jobs immediately. Commissions are still owned, materials order, I mean, it'll be a mess, but it can be done. I've met owners of $40 million Ponzi schemes, and actually talked to a few of my mentors who will tell you, those few companies in Texas who waive deductibles and stuff like that. If you stop their sales, if the business would stop today and they have to return and pay everybody, they're broke. They're running Ponzi scheme. The only way they operate is because more cash coming in, going out. But on paper, as a matter of fact, I'm getting emails from one of the people on the stage today. He just shared, not going to mention the name, but he just shared in an email that in 2017 or 18, he was doing 10 million a year. Think, 10 million a year. And he owed $1 million to ABC Supply, and he did not have it. And I'm reading like, in one email, that's the information. Like, oh, I had a hard year. I did 10. Like, dude, if you're doing 10 million a year and you cannot pay $1 million to your supplier, something is terribly wrong in that business. You're either taking too much out, you're not selling enough. So I have a video called break-even point. It's the most important metric that you can. It's actually, if you ask me, my best video of all times, and I've done over 500 of them. That's the break-even point.
Break-even point. Okay.
So,
we'll put a link in the description below.
Yep. So break-even point, what it teaches you, like every business owner have to know it. If you don't know what your break-even point is, it's a red flag. So pretty much it goes like this. So how many jobs do you have to sell per day to be profitable? Think about McDonald's. You go to McDonald's, they sell burger for how much? Like $8, right? So is it profitable? It costs them like $1 to make it. So each burger is profitable, correct?
Not necessarily. I mean, from the hard cost.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes. So, but there's other number is how many do they have to sell per day of that burger. So if they sell 500 burgers in a day, they're probably going to lose money. If they sell 3,000, they're probably going to be break even. If they sell 4,000, they're going to be really profitable. Mm-hmm. So like just because you sell, like let's say your break even point to cover all your expenses, $300,000, but you all of a sudden sold 250,000 this month. So now you think, okay, we're $50,000 under our goal. Well, no, you $50,000 in red. While each job is profitable, each burger is profitable. As a business, you're in red. Yeah. It's okay to be in red, winter months, slow season, stuff like that. But that number is just, and if you don't know, I was in Michigan and I asked them this question, $15 million company, GF Master Elite, 778,000 break-even point. So they know if they sold 700,000, boom. But many business owners don't know. So many people just focus on price per square or commission rate. It's more complicated than that. You have to, and you need a good accountant to figure it out. So what you do is you calculate all your expenses, your gas, your food, your oil changes, your insurance, absolutely all expenses. And let's say it's 30,000 a month. Well, if it's 30,000 at 10% net, that gives me right there. So you have to sell 300,000 just to take 30,000 for your overhead. And if you're selling 200,000 on average, you have to cut cost or increase sales.
Yeah, and these are numbers that so many people they fall into the lure and excitement of misreading a profit sharing commission, and they jump to these conclusions. And I have a newer client who's a young guy, super hungry. He had over $500,000 in cash saved up in his 20s. And I don't remember how much more beyond that, but I know that $500,000, which sounds like a lot of money, he had a big team. He brought 10 guys in with him. They have explosive growth. Almost every penny he had to liquidate from his investments in the stock market to pay, because your labor bills and material bills are getting paid. And it's hard to get a line of credit when you're brand new as a company. And all that cash is going out at a disproportionate rate from what you're bringing in. And those outbound collections start piling up as you get going. So let's wrap up with this. When do you know you're ready to start a business?
I think I start many businesses when you either desperate enough that no matter what life will bring, you know you're gonna make it. Like for me, starting a business, it's a mental shift. You mentally have to be ready. I always tell people, if you have plan B, plan A is not gonna happen. You're not ready if you have plan B. You're not ready, like I see guys going like, well, I'll do subs and I'll do this, or I'll sell, and no. If you think that you need a backup plan, don't even start. I'm okay with the backup plan, a full-time job like on a Saturday or Sunday. When I started my business, I was cutting grass on the Saturdays. Like it's okay to have a gig, but you cannot have a job. And if you have a gig, it has to be a gig. You know it's temporarily. You tell
Yeah.
people like, okay, I'll be a bartender at night just for the time. So you're not ready if you're not all in. And you're also not ready if you don't have a business plan. I know, like, I don't believe in the business plans in the roofing industry, but I believe in the plan. Like, you have to go in with some kind of execution. I'm gonna do this, this, and this. For me, roofing, like, I actually tell people, in the first year, it's impossible. You go in and you capture as much as you can. It can be $1 million, $2 million, or $3 million. You cannot have a business plan. For the second year in business, you have to have a business plan. You look at the previous numbers and you see what you can do. But when I say business plan is what market you're gonna do, what products you're gonna install, who you're gonna buy from, who's gonna do the work, like basic answers. If you don't have that, like I'm not talking about business plans like goal-oriented sales. I'm talking about who, when, how, like basic stuff. Where are you gonna be? Like when people tell me I want to start a business, I'm like, okay, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna sell? Everything. All the painting, all the fancies. Like, no, you're not ready yet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be Malarkey, GF, or Atlas. I want to be there. I'm gonna be covering 25 miles radius. I'm gonna be storm restoration or retail. Those are questions you have to answer. Are you gonna do siding or not? Are you gonna do windows or not? That's a business plan questions. What's your business gonna look like? Are you gonna have a good name? Are you gonna have a good brand? And then go all in. And if like I would say this in a nutshell, if you're not ready to wrap your vehicle from the first day in business and tell all your friends, family, hey, this is my brand. I wrapped it, it's gonna be franchise, like this is what I do now. I'm gonna be #1 roofer in town. If you're not ready to do it, you're not ready to be in business.
Yeah. So should the average roofing salesperson, and when I say average, this isn't to take away from the human, but I mean, let's say there's 10,000 roofing salespeople, which I know there's way more than that. Should the average person start their own roofing business or should they continue selling?
In my personal experience, 95% of sales guys out there will be better off selling for other people and staying in their lane. If you're good at sales and that's all you do and it satisfies you, find a good home for yourself that treats you right and keep selling. Because to be a business owner, you have to be good at branding, you have to be good, because what's going to happen is you're going to start a business and you're going to be mediocre, average in everything. You have to be superior, you have to be excellent. Great administrator, great marketer, it's very competitive. To start and grow a roofing business, you have to be workaholic, you have to be work hard, 14-hour days, commitment, the whole thing. Good at branding, good at marketing, good at people, good at accounting. Like only 5% of salespeople are good at all of those.
Yeah.
Now you can start a business because it's easy, you know, a couple $100, get an LLC, just because you can, but don't call yourself market leader or don't call yourself like legit, you know.
Yeah, it's true. And it's amazing how many owners I've talked with. I'm not going to share names because they've shared this in confidence, that have told me, I feel like I built my prison cell because I am stuck. These people rely on me, and they've said to me, I would be happier even if they earned less selling for someone else and having no liability, because all it takes is the one oopsie. I remember one year we had two $70,000 mistakes like that. And for a lot of people, $140,000 in oopsies could be crippling. You know, that has to be paid for. And feeling that level of trapped is different than the freedom of being a salesperson. And you can check that ego, right? And just be like, I'm out there. I think that salespeople should be proud of what they're doing. You know what you're good at. I'm not the operations guy. I didn't like that side, right? I like the structures and systems, but the details.
But they start because of bad treatment. They start for their own reason. Just because someone mistreated you, it's not a good reason to
start a business. You just find the right fit. So, best advice for someone in their very first year of business, what would you say?
Best advice for pay yourself as less as possible, invest in your business as much as possible, and build a brand. It's all about branding. Beg for reviews. Like first year is easy to build a brand. You have that effect of the small child. When small child goes in the chair and reads a poem to you, it doesn't have to be perfect. People will forgive you mistakes. People will forgive you. They will cheer for you. So if you're first year in business, take advantage of it. Your friends, family, like your community, they will raise you up. You're not going to get that credit later in life. That's the only time you get it. I feel like brand building first year, it's just like, that's where like you're a rookie of the year. Like become that rookie of the year. You will get better later, but build that brand and then let the build brand work for you later. Like first you work on your reviews and then your reviews work on you. If you create 100 reviews, legit reviews in the first year in business, it'll be so much easier second year in business.
Yeah.
It's unfair. Like you will start noticed right away by everyone.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to close on one tough question.
Sure.
For a first year business person, if you had to pick one book that you were like, this is a must read book for a new business owner, what book would you recommend that they read?
I really like Elle and Laura Rees' War in the Boardroom. That book changed my life. It's a marketing branding book, but every organization has this war within a company where production always wants to do more and branding always wants to do less. And there's a war. So you will, as a business owner, you will have always dilemma like, should we do more services? I believe that doing less is doing more. And Elle and Laura Rees, they work with companies like Honda and Ford, like big manufacturers. You know, if you look at Steve Jobs, what Steve Jobs did when he came back, you know, he got fired from Apple and he came back. Best companies out there, they don't have a lot of services. You know, like Tesla, they have one in each model. Like the less services you do, the better. But you always will have temptation to do more. If you look at the best companies in the roofing, like I just did an interview with a company who about to do 30-40 million this year. They've been in business for 5 years. They would not touch nothing but the roofs. They don't go inside. They say no, but you have to mentally be ready. Like I was that guy in the beginning. I was doing basement finishing. I was doing and my success started when I started telling people no. Like no, I'm not a basement finishing business. I'm not gonna do painting. Not gonna be drywall. But that book, it'll help you understand that war and how to win that war.
Yeah, beautiful advice. Dmitry, thank you very much for being here for another interview.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Have you heard the quote, an entrepreneur has a higher likelihood of dying of indigestion than they will of starvation?
Yes.
Yeah, I forget who said that, but that's a good one.